Awesome, thanks, Jeff. You know, every time I get up in front of an audience, whether it's 3 people or 300 people, my mind goes completely blank. And I have to reform my thoughts. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it did not. We would like to thank our library partners for allowing us to meet here.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank our proprietor, S. Coulbrooke, for inventing this. If I've forgotten anything else, you'll know on the next time I come. Kay Starr, who is also Poet Laureate of Logan, is going to come up and read some of Jack Remick's poetry. Jack couldn't be here tonight because his flight was delayed. Jack Remick is the author of Satori poems. His novel, Gabriella and the Widow, was a finalist for the Book of the Year Award and for the Hoffer. Wow, this is a tough bio read. I apologize, Jack, wherever you are. His work includes California Quarter, The Deification, Valley Boy, The Book of Changes, The Trip of Lost Souls, as well as Blood and Pacific Coast Highway. Doubles in the Game of Chance, and 2 collections of short stories. He is a co-author with Robert J. Ray of The Weekend Novelist. Writes a mystery, a how-to for pros and a neophyte. Star?
Every time Chad reads, I tell him that was my favorite one. That was the one I liked the best out of all of them, and I tell him that every time because it's always true. Shot me in the ass with that one. It's really good. The Oki Chronicle is what I'm going to start with, and these are father poems that Jack Remick sent me by email when he found that he couldn't come and read, and I hope I do them justice. I'm trying to channel him. So picture me with long white hair and a really snazzy kind of mustache beard sort of thing going on, some really kind eyes, totally brilliant. And if you go to his workshops this weekend, you will write yourself crazy and it will be so good. So you better just register at the door tomorrow and go. My father's father. My father said, "I'll never be the man my father was. He drove mules in the lead mines. Mules died down there, never saw light. He and Tom Springer drove steel with a hammer, making America the great. In 1917, he went to France, a machine gunner in a tank, and came back a hero with no lungs. I'll never be the man my father was. I never knew the man my father called life-giver. He died of silicosis. His life river ran out of his mouth, red on bed sheets. He came up out of the mines to the light, a giant from a time when men worked their hands bloody, their backs bent. The time of the fathers dilates. It is ancient time. Mythic time, mystery time. Their youth seems like centuries ago. My father said, I watched him die, his breath bloody. Take care your mother, son, he said. I was 8. I didn't know what dying meant, but I do now. Yes, I do. My father. I will never be the man my father was. He punched holes through mountains. He dived to the floor of the Pacific to salvage war-sunk ships. He harvested fields of wheat on Granddad's farm. He rode a tractor in sun so strong metal buckled. He pulled a combine, towed the plow, cut grain, and I am a poet, fashioning phrases, building metered lines instead of building America the Great. I remember before we quit talking to one another, he asked how I was doing. I told him I was writing poetry, and I remember the silence when those words died. I remember the scorn in his voice. I remembered then how he measured fire, how he struck arcs to burn holes in metal. I am a smoldering ember, a spark in the night of his bonfire of doing. I am a poet fashioning phrases instead of building America, the great, America, the holy. Mountains were no obstacle to him, but rhyme was impenetrable, forever opaque, harder than granite, more puzzling than intrusions of basalt. In Montana, they built a dam to end all dams, Hungry Horse. They poured concrete. They poured 1,000,000 yards of concrete. They dynamited rock by the square mile. They dug a glory hole 1,000 feet deep. Electricity to light up the world. What does synecdoche mean to men who need no metaphors to explain existence? On the Skagit River, they built Ross Dam for Seattle, a mile-high lake where none existed before, emerald jade water rising to feed skyscrapers. Is all creation equal to men like that? Is some creation more equal than others? I have built no dams, no lakes. I do not hollow out mountains. I am a poet, fashioning verses, building metered lines instead of building America, the great, America, the holy, America, the blessed. In California, the man train carried miners into the mountains in tanks of water to rock so hot it scorched their skin. Water squeezed from the mountains tremble, shot out of drill holes, knocking machinery over, killing the unsuspecting. War with the mountain. Earth moved as quicksand under their feet, desperate to solve the riddle of this mountain. He, my father, idea man, built an iron box in the mountain, froze the killing waters, hauled the mountain outside, dumped it on the ground, and now they drink in Santa Barbara. My fire scorches only the brain. Men who core mountains have a rhythm and rhyme of their own. Yes, I am a poet, fashioning phrases, building metered lines instead of building America, the great, the unholy, the pure, the empty. His fame spread, his deeds became legend. In Peru, they came up against a mountain untamable. The bosses called him, come down here and clean up this unholy mess. And he did. He tamed the mountain on time, under budget. That's the stuff his myth is made of. A myth of mountains and men who move them. A myth that makes other gods pale who only hurl lightning bolts or ride the sky in chariots. My myth is metered. My myth is rhymed. I am a poet. How do we parse couplets to men who speak of miracles in the language of steel and timber and concrete? How do we explain their deeds to our sons? What do we say to men who dam rivers, who hollow out mountains, who slay whole forests, who slaughter buffalo, who poison rivers? How do we tell them that building America, the great, the unholy, the empty, the only, the pure, the true, building America, they ravaged the mother. How do we explain that to the birds? That's Jack Remick. And this is another one. He gave me two more, a little bit shorter. Daesh, I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but it's ISIS or the Islamic State of Iraq. Daesh kills the bearded bulls. Here we learn to write in mud, on stone. Here we learned to write with sticks in mud baked in the sun for all time. We learned to write in stone with hammers that now chisel our first words out of time, crack the mud, 5,000 years made. This is where we wrote first of the dark journey into the deep place, tracing in stone, in mud, our wedges prying apart the mystery of the mind, to count, to read the steps of the journey from their deep. Now that is ripped out of the rock, torn from the mud, the wedges disappear, opening the black wound that does not bleed. Burying where we came from in dust. This is Daesh, the end of our beginning. Winged bulls, lion-headed men, here we wrote of them, of Astarte first in mud, in stone. Here we counted first the sheep, the grain. Here we counted the stars, first in mud, then in stone. Later we turned reeds into sheets of time, and winged men and bearded bulls and women in pure white. Now is broken the stone, cracked the mud. Must we dive again into that black mystery? Did Muhammad know his acolytes would see stone as sin, mud as crime, and wipe away the wedges that pried open the pit where now no light shines? And his last poem, The Memory of Wood. Trees are bones of the killed land, bones scattered like lost children on the banks of mud creeks under gray skies. Bones of time in moonscape wasteland, roots whitening in soil, sterilized by prophet. Roots holier than the bones of saints, roots shrivel into cracked tangles, and stumps probe for their phantom limbs enshrined on Elm Street. I walk through the slain forest, through the bark-stripped trunks, through 2x4 rows of the dead without markers or headstones. In the bedroom, my fingers touch an inlaid box of cherry limb carved into a jewelry tomb. There is no sky here in the spackled ceiling, a nostalgia of stars ignited by 100-watt bulbs, and in the corners of the living room, I hear a chorus of cries from picture frames. I look for the war-wounded blind, but see portraits of corporation presidents in suits and ties. Creaks rise from the floor, an oak elegy. Chairs and tables shriek. The house-dried skin of once live wood speaks to its dead, contains itself. Me, a veneered chest, flayed skulks mute against the plasterboard wall. It cannot see the ruin, though some memory must remain of roots and leaves and slaughter and blood from a ripped out tongue. Thanks.